So we've got a couple more days until Mario Odyssey releases, and I thought I'd, share a personal story. It is a kind of an old story. I shared it with Zelda Informer and a few Zelda groups on Facebook. So if something in the story doesn't seem quite up to par with current time, then forgive me, that is just the age of the story. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's a heartwarming story. It's a personal story. Something to post onto YouTube before I start to indulge myself into Mario Odyssey, because I'm going to be spending a lot of time on that game. So yeah. So when I was younger, me and my little brother loved the wilderness. We absolutely adorned our surroundings with natural wonders. We still embrace an inner child that mourns the loss of a childhood past. We always provisioned the vast cornfields as if they were an entirely separate world, and that they were in our hugely imaginative minds. Such driving force of imagination didn't just come from the fickle of a barren lifestyle. It came from a video game. Yes, a plug-and-play, pick up the controller and look at the bright television cliche. The television flashes the logo, The Legend of Zelda, and our hearts begin to race in anticipation to embark on an epic adventure. Surely, it drove us to get creative and make use of our surroundings in the real world. No matter how ridiculous we made ourselves out to be, we loved Zelda games, and it encouraged us to explore the outside world as if it were our own. We would patiently await the news of the next Zelda game. It would become overhyped with any bit of salt-grained information about it. We always fantasized what the next one would be like, and we would go outside into the wilderness and live out what we'd hoped to see in the next game. But as we got older, and families began to drift apart, we began to forget about those times. We began to awaken into a more personal lifestyle that indulges us to forget about our past. And as of late, I have entirely flanneled my life with the well-being of being antisocial and inactive. Still, a piece of my childhood exists on the inside, calling out to me to open my eyes to what lies ahead. Truly, I am an adult now, with much ahead of me, almost like an adventure. The Legend of Zelda has been a huge staple of my life, and my little brother's too, whether he likes to admit it or not. March 3rd. That's the date The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild came out. Something I'd been anticipating for 5 years, and prior, I have been in a mindful lapse about my state of being and have come to the conclusion that I have eluded my life in a completely unnatural and somewhat irresponsible way. It seems that what used to motivate me as a child has drifted from the purity of my heart, and no longer motivates me. Or until recently, I started playing Breath of the Wild. The game fulfills the wishes me and my little brother had forever hoped to see in a Zelda game. While to you, it might seem childish, and that's the point. Something so painstakingly weird and odd to be motivated by has invaded my heart as if I were still 6 years old playing Zelda for the first time. I was determined to beat it, and in reality, that's the whole reason I was successful at such a young age, because a hero in a game by the name of Link did everything he could to complete his role in life. That was enough to keep me going forever. Once I got into middle school, I started to try to fit in and let the idea of being motivated by a video game character pass off as childish, and I eventually lost my motivation and stood out as a failure. Still, I pressed on as if it never happened. Recently, I've taken into consideration what Breath of the Wild actually means, and I've taken my own approach on the phrase. Instead of passing it off as childish, I have taken it in like a child, and a part of me has awoken, as if being in slumber for 100 years, as if something was telling me to open my eyes. And that's exactly how Breath of the Wild starts, with Link waking up from a 100-year slumber, and a strange voice telling him to open his eyes. Suddenly I feel as if my inner child is coming back to life, as if I'm reforming a lost connection with the hero from my childhood. These past months, I have gone on a very personal journey with myself and Link. As silly as it sounds, awakening my inner child has proven to give me motivation once more. I have taken strides to become one with nature and relive vital moments of my childhood by venturing into the woods and taking in fresh air of the wilderness. More proverbially, taking a breath of the wild. As I slowly continue playing, my inner child cheers me on. I never would have thought a video game would enable me to open my eyes and take upon a role to complete in life. It's my adventure, and the world is mine to explore and comprehend. I feel like something inside of me is finally easing itself of its demons and is being released. In the broad scope of things, not only have I felt more alive, but I feel motivated to tackle my life and enjoy the good old nostalgic feel of going on an adventure to save the world. It's all thanks to Nintendo for offering a blessing to millions of people, and me, for allowing never-ending positivity and joy in a world full of negativity. Thank you for listening, and have a good evening.